Welcome to Women Don't Do That, where we empower you with inspiration, knowledge, and skills to redefine your boundaries and unleash your potential. I'm Stephanie Minton, founder and CEO of Beacon North Strategies and your guide. Small town girl turned CEO while navigating career, motherhood, ADHD, and chronic migraines. Our conversations range from interviews with visionary women to solo episodes filled with actionable insights. We are your hub for turning what ifs into let's go. Are you ready to redefine your possible? Let's get started. We all know what we should be doing to feel healthier and happier, but making it stick is the hard part. In this episode, habit change expert Katie Faloon-Drew shares simple science-based strategies to finally break the cycle of starting and stopping. You'll learn how to rewrite your mindset, build your habits that last, and feel more vibrant and confident every day. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here to talk about a really important topic around habits and diving into the science of that and all the things. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
We'd like to get to know our guests better. So, starting with a few questions like, what does life look like for you right now?
So I am a full-time speaker, keynote speaker, and wellness coach. So what's beautiful about that is because I'm also a mother of an 11 and 14-year-old boy, and they're both in competitive sports. So I love being an entrepreneur because I can make my own schedule. So even though it's hectic, I travel to speak, I'm doing evening keynotes sometimes. I love the flexibility. I've been able to build a career that is definitely 100% in line with my passion. It's definitely what I'm meant to do. But as a busy mom, it's glorious. I'm able to integrate work and life, and
Hmm.
every moment of it, I spent 17 years in the federal government. So I do feel this relatively new sense of freedom doing this full time. I'm able to be there for the boys after school and really work around them. So it's wonderful.
I love hearing that. You really can create a career that allows you to do both, to thrive at work and to thrive at home, which is something I've done as well, and it's a game changer for sure. What motivates you to live your best life?
I think the standard answer would be my kids, right? But
Hmm.
I have to say the biggest thing I've learned since burning out in my early 30s doing everything for my kids was
Yes.
what motivates me to live my most vibrant life is that when I pour into myself, in my movement, in my nutrition, in my wellness, in my mental health practices, I feel better. And then by proxy, I'm a better leader, I'm a better parent, I'm a better speaker, I'm a better coach. So
Hmm.
I think a lot of us women would say I'm motivated by my kids. And it's not that I'm not, it's that when I was only motivated by that, I let myself burn out. And so really I'm motivated by seeing in real time, day to day, how it's not selfish to pour into myself because the ripple effect is massive.
I think that's a really important message, and a lot of us learn that the hard way,
Mhm.
which I know with your burnout you can speak to yourself. I want to talk about why is it so hard? Let's start by talking about habits
Yeah.
from the perspective of like why do we struggle so much to do habits, build new habits?
So, and I'm an expert specifically in healthy habits, but I think as we speak about this, you'll notice that this will likely apply, like the habit change science will apply to a lot of habits, but I'm most comfortable speaking in the healthy habit space, right? So, why is it we know that we should move our bodies or sleep well or eat healthy foods or and a lot of people don't remember this part of it, but what are the habits for our mental health? So,
Mm,
create balance, creating space for ourselves, getting off of the doom scrolling. So, why is it that we know all of these things but we don't do it? The short answer is so many of us, and I wish this was in every education system, haven't been taught how to work with our brain and not against it. We've been sold this horrible bill of goods that it's about willpower and motivation and energy, and that's all complete bull. we need to learn how to work with the habit change science, which is essentially understanding how does my brain work
Mm-hmm.
and what do I do to ensure that I can work with and not against it.
So can you talk about unpacking that scientific piece for us?
Absolutely. So I have a master's degree in health psychology, so I guess that would be a good thing to note that I'm not kind of pulling this out of thin air. I did a lot of education and continue to do education around health behavior change and the science of health behavior change. So we are walking around this earth right now in a very different reality than we were in the cave, although we're working with the same brain, right? So I always say our brain is like the operating system. And it is what it is in terms of the way it's been built. There's two things about our brain that most people don't understand. Number one is we are literally wired to be safe and comfortable. Like we
Mm,
are wired to be safe and comfortable. It was a survival tactic in the cave. You would absolutely pick the high sweet, high fat, anything, any kind of
mm,
food that's going to sustain you, right? You ate like the veggies because you had to, or the, you know what I mean, or the fruit because you had to.
right.
You would always go for like the fat, the meat. That's just the way that we were wired for survival. So there we go, survival. You also back in the cave would not have been like, you know what, guys, I'm just gonna go for a little run. No, we were only running if we had to, away from some kind of lion or, uh, bear or something. And in between that fight flight response, we were conserving our energy. And
Mm,
again, that was for survival. Our brains haven't changed. Our society has changed so much. And yes, we've
mm,
adapted in certain ways, but we're still dealing with the same operating system. And we have to understand that. That's number one. And number two, though, so unfortunately for number one is, unfortunately, I hate to tell you, we can't change that part. Can't change the part that we're wired for comfort. And we are also, there's a lot of psychology there. I won't like bore people with all the terminology, but we are also very good in the moment of being like, oh, I'll do that later. Like
mm,
I'll do that later. Like our brains are really good at creating all the excuses to keep us comfortable. So
right.
that part we can't change. But the other part, number two, that we can change, and this is where I teach a lot of people on the habit change science, is our brains like to stay in what we call homeostasis. So it likes to stay in the same pattern.
Mm,
So if you've built a habit and if you've built a pattern, and even though it's hard to do that at the beginning, and we'll talk about that, if you can build a habit and you can sustain it, it gets way easier to do it. So
mm-hmm.
this, if you look at the case of addiction, which I worked in addiction space for 6 years, that's the opposite, right? It's unfortunately people, it's not a choice. People might have chosen to take a substance. They don't choose to develop an addiction. That is neural pathways and reward systems firing in a certain way that you need the substance to feel okay and to avoid pain, etc., right? But on the flip side, you can actually build new neural pathways
Mm,
to, become less sedentary, more active, to change your sleep rhythms, to change the way you eat, to crave sugar less. If you can figure out how to hack the brain, once you get into the pattern, it will be easier. Will it ever be as easy as sitting on the couch drinking red wine and watching Netflix? No. So I think a big message out of that is let's not wait for motivation and feeling like it. You're never going to feel like it, but let's tap into the science of how you can create small micro habits to make it a little bit easier to do it in the moment.
mm-hmm. Okay, so you've gotten a little bit there into like the advice piece of right of how then once we understand the science, what's next? And you
Mhm.
talked about the micro pieces. Can you expand on that more?
So, so I was speaking specifically about starting small. So maybe I'll take a step back and explain then how we can actually hack our brain, right? So what do we
Mhm.
do?
Right.
Um, it's funny because when I do a keynote or a workshop, always start it with raise your hand if you know you should be active, sleep,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, meditate, all the things, right? And everyone's hands go up. And then I say, raise your hand if you're struggling to do it in your busy life, because I'm usually speaking to busy, high achieving executives, right? Or
Right.
people in the workforce. Everybody's hands stay up. Everybody's struggling to stick with something. And the point here is that just because you know better doesn't mean you're going to do better.
Hmm.
Sorry, Oprah. I didn't think she said that, right? If you know better, you'll do better. In some cases, in terms of mindset and relationships, that works. But in actual habits, especially habits that go against the chemistry of our brain, that's not the case.
Hmm.
It's not willpower. It's not all the things. So some of the things that I teach are around first understanding the way your brain works, which we just talked about.
Hmm.
And then looking at what we tend to do in terms of our health habits and dissecting it. So that might be fun, like why a New Year's resolution doesn't work. And then we can actually
Right.
kind of get into the pieces. So um, what do we normally do? Like I would ask you, like what would you, what's a really common New Year's resolution or, thing that people do that they t don't tend to be able to stick to?
I think one is that all of a sudden the new year's gonna hit and they're going to feel motivated to go to the gym. Maybe they've bought a membership and they also think that they're going to go 5 days a week.
100%. 100%. So here's the issue with that. I am a habit change expert. I hate New Year's resolutions. I was on the CTV news this year in January being like, don't do it. Because what do we do? So we already have just understood that our brain does A, wants to keep us safe and comfortable, and B, doesn't like change.
Right.
So what do we do in a New Year's resolution? A couple things. We create way too much at once. So you just said it, right? So I'm going to go from 0 to 5 days a week. So we have unrealistic expectations.
Hmm. Yeah.
We do this all or none. And if I can't do that, then there's nothing. So a lot of us are living in this, especially, I mean, I'm 44. I see it even with my husband. We joke. I'm like, you have a coach in the house. It's like if I can't go to the gym 3 times a week for an hour, then I'll do nothing. Meanwhile, I joke, it's like we have a Peloton bike in the basement, do it for 20 minutes. So we have this unrealistic expectation, this all or none approach, which doesn't work for our brain, right?
Yes.
And then what happens when we don't hit it? How do we feel?
I just want to give up.
We just want to
And
give up.
yeah.
And then it's shame. And so the problem here is we have to actually step back and work with our brain, not against it. I get everybody to name their brain. So
Oh,
the thing I do, and you can name yours, we can play with that a little bit. Because once we realize that our brain is not us, we can have the best of intentions. We could want to be healthier for us, for our kids. The more that you value tag your health goals, the better. So I often teach people like weight loss is the absolute worst goal you can have on the planet. If you're trying to lose weight, stop trying to lose weight. I
yeah.
mean, a whole separate podcast on that because we are attaching the goal to an outcome that's going to take a while.
Hmm.
It's based in shame, and we are knocking, our brain needs the quick wins, like kind of the daily hits to be like, ooh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Because you've got to convince your brain why it should get uncomfortable. And so
Right.
weight loss is my absolute favorite example. And this is a common one for New Year's. So because I need to lose weight. Okay. You might then just, so in order to lose weight, I'm going to go to the gym X amount. I'm going to cut all my sugar. I'm going to do dry January. Your brain is like, beep, 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 like, whoa,
Yes.
wait a second. Hold the car. This is way too much change at once. Number one. Number two, you have created a goal based in shame. And what people don't realize
Mm,
is that our thoughts create our feelings and our feelings drive our actions. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. So here we are. We have a thought. I am not good enough. I need to lose weight. How does that make us feel?
terrible,
Like,
tired.
well, tired, less than, not enough. It's our feelings that depict whether we're going to act or not.
Right.
So even if weight loss is the long-term goal, I always tell people, please throw that out and find a daily goal that aligns with your value system and that you know that you're literally every day just trying to convince your brain that it's okay to do this and that we should do this, knowing that it's going to give you every excuse in the book. So if your goal is not necessarily anymore to lose weight, but your goal is to feel more energetic,
Hmm.
all of a sudden you can convince your brain, like, listen, if I'm gonna go for a 10-minute walk and that's all I have, but my goal is to lose weight, are you gonna do the 10-minute walk?
Well, no, because losing the weight is so far away.
Exactly. But if
Yeah.
if your goal was to feel more energetic every day for yourself and your kids, if you had 10 minutes to go for a walk, would you go for the walk?
Yes.
100%. And then guess what happens? You compound that. Some days you do 10, some days you do 40. All of a sudden, 3 months down the road, you've lost weight. Bam. So I'm not saying that you should never have the goal of losing weight, but if that is your goal, you are starting out of a place of shame and it is not going to work with your brain. Your brain already doesn't want to do it. You can have enough willpower in the world, but you have to start working with it. You
Right.
have to start being like, my brain's name is Brandy. It's like, I know, Brandy, you want to sit on the couch and drink wine. I get it. But
Mhm.
this is going to make us feel more energetic. So will you trust me? Let's do it. And then we do it. And then all of a sudden, we start small, we start in a way that makes sense. It's like safe for our brain. Oh, maybe then we add. So I mean, people are going to listen to this. I'm doing a hand gesture. New Year's resolutions are top. It's like we go all the way to the top and then we fall off. Habit change works when you start very small, create goals based in your value system. How do you want to feel every day? Now you pick only one or two things to start at the beginning, and it has to pass what I call the giggle test, which is you have to be able to for sure do it in a week, or else the goal's too big because then you can build from there. Because
Mm.
you're just trying to coax your brain like it's okay, we can do this. We got it. We got to build a little confidence, and then it's pretty amazing to see how quickly it could grow from there if you approach it from the building blocks
Right.
instead of all or none.
So, Katie, is it then, so you start with the 10-minute walk, right? And
Yep.
then you start doing that more consistently? Is that, and then that's the piece that really changes the habit? Like, what's the flip that happens?
So a lot of people when I do keynotes, this is the one thing they take from it is does your goal pass the giggle test? So let's say your big goal, the big G goal is not to lose weight. We've just realized why that doesn't work. We're going to put that one aside. The big G goal is that I want to feel more energetic, more confident, enough. I don't know, right? Because like really, if we dig down, why do you want to lose weight? Probably because you want to feel like you're enough. I mean, when you really dig
Yeah,
down,
right,
this
right.
this is what we all want to feel. So you've got this big G goal. Well, that if you stop there, it's theoretical. We don't take action. Your goals fall to the level of your systems, right? And so now we say, okay, if I want to feel more energetic, what is one thing that I can do this week that I know I'm going to hit? So 10-minute walking is a perfect example. The hardest part of, for example, a start behavior like physical activity is getting the shoes on, literally
Hmm.
and proverbially, right?
Yeah.
The hardest part is getting the shoes on. So if anyone's ever read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, which is bang on in the science, there was a story about a gentleman whose goal was just to get in the car and drive to the gym. That's all his brain could handle. And then all of a sudden from there he built. It's the exact same thing. So you
Right.
need to create something that you know will pass the giggle test. This is ridiculous. I can't believe this is it, but I know I'm going to hit this. So
Yes.
if that's 10 minutes for you, great. If you're someone who you think it could be the 30-minute walk 3 days a week, great. You're going to know very quickly because if you can't hit that
Yeah.
consistently,
Hmm.
it's not the right goal. You scale it back until you hit a consistent amount. It feels good. You're building your pride. You're convincing your brain this is good, and then and only then do you add on.
Right. I know a few examples for me are setting my clothes out the night before
Yeah.
for exercise.
Yeah.
That's like a game changer. Like if stuff isn't organized and ready to go and it takes extra time. And then the other thing I started doing, which you might laugh at in a good way, and we have a mutual friend, Lydia, and Lydia's been helping me with fitness stuff. And anyway, so I went to the gym, and this gym has a massage chair. And I used it
Mm.
afterwards, and Lydia's like, it's okay for that to be like a reward of it, makes you want to go to the gym. And so I literally went to the gym Monday and worked out just so I could use the massage chair.
So do you know what you did? It's an exact. If you follow Mel Robbins, she talks about this all the time. Um, actually in the habit change science, you just did what's called a trigger reward loop,
Mm,
which is 1000% the science. Your brain needs a trigger, and then it works really well if you give it a reward.
mm,
So because in the moment, your brain is going to give you every excuse. So we can have all like we can write our journal and we can do the things and we can have the vision board and we can and in the moment, your brain is going to give you
yeah.
every excuse in the book. So what you've just done with putting your clothes out is How have you, I say this to my clients all the time, as silly as it sounds, think of every possible excuse and barrier that your brain is
Yes.
using in the moment, like, oh, I don't know what to wear. Another perfect example one is I work out at home using an at-home app because that's all I have time for. So if I have a client that says, okay, well, I'm going to do YouTube, and I'm like, no, 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 no. You are going to either pay for an app or join a program because even that one little thing of I'm going to search something on YouTube is overwhelming. Your brain's like, that's another
Hmm.
5 minutes. So how can you reduce as many barriers? Proactively reduce it, knowing that in the moment. So setting your clothes out, preparing food that's easy to grab in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Setting your alarm. And then the reward, your brain loves that because it will actually create that positive response that allows it to do it again. And so
Yes.
Mel Robbins talks about this all the time. She's
Yeah. And I think it's also it's interesting for me. I feel like I can make a lot of excuses, but the massage is like so worth it that you're willing to do it anyways. And I don't think have found a reward at a long time that actually will like override that other stuff. So I think that's really interesting. One of the things I want to ask you about, and we've talked about it a little bit, is the shame and like self-blame piece. And I feel like we often, when we're talking about habits, it's just like I need to be more disciplined. I just need to, right, like that basic thing you tell yourself, but that doesn't actually create change. Can you speak about that perspective?
it's actually not only does it not create change, it's completely sabotaging
Hmm.
change. Um, because your brain is already trying to stop you.
Right.
And so, and we just talked about the fact that your actually your core beliefs, I mean, this is what we get, this is how deep we get in coaching, right? And when I do one coaching, like we're going back, it's life coaching. It's like, what are you the core beliefs? Let's use weight loss as a perfect example. My core belief is that to be attractive, confident, and enough, I have to be a certain size. Which
Mm.
is kind of bull when you think about it. Like, who says? Like, 200 years ago, like, goiters were cool. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
Like being super pale was better because you weren't working in the field. If you were tan, that means that you were like a worker.
Right.
Or having more curves and more weight on you meant that you were rich because you weren't starving.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we live in this society, and when do we ever step back and say, "Wait a sec, why am I? Where are these beliefs coming from?" So that's like a first step. Is really ask yourself. When I run a workshop, I always say, "What's your goal?" And then I ask you why, why, and ultimately, at the end, it's because we're looking to feel a certain way.
Mm.
So I want people to reverse engineer it. Decide how you want to feel. The weight loss is your means to an end, or this, like, that is the how, that is not the why. So what is your why? How do you want
Hmm.
to feel? Value tag it. I want to feel energetic,
Hmm.
vibrant. Some people, a lot of women come to me thinking they want to lose weight, and ultimately then we get to the point where, like, I just want to feel peaceful and content.
Hmm.
Okay, awesome. Start there. And I have a free workbook on my website. If people go into the show notes, I'm sure they can, if you go to my website, you can get a free workbook that actually walks you through all this. But
Okay.
if you reverse engineer it and say, okay, now actually, why is it that I want to lose weight? Why is it that I want to work out? Why is it that I want to eat healthy? We're chasing a feeling.
Right.
Start with the feeling first and then do a bit of a scope of what am I doing in my life? What am I doing in my life that's making me feel that way? What am I doing in my life that's not making me feel that way? Staying up too
Mm.
late, doom scrolling, drinking wine every night. Like, so just do a bit of an inventory, right?
Right.
But just stop at the actions. What's the thought patterns that are making me feel more energetic, more proud, more content? If I'm telling myself I need to lose weight, I have to lose weight, I'm ugly, I'm fat, is that making you feel more content and energetic?
Hmm.
Absolutely not. And we already know that the way you feel is what drives your action.
Oop.
So is it easy to go from zero to, like, shame to I feel great? No, but I mean, that's where coaching really helps, is that people think you do the thing to get the confidence. It's backwards. You actually have to build the self-worth and the confidence first in order to show up for yourself and keep showing up for yourself and building a lifestyle that allows you to feel your best because it is a self-worth game that we're playing. If we are
Right.
chasing it to feel good, we are going to keep chasing it and the goalpost will keep changing. I've seen it so many times. When I lose the 15 pounds, I'll be happy. Guess what? Lose
Right.
15 pounds, something else is going to come up.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, and I think very true. I think another trap that we run into, and I do this, is thinking like I just need to be more efficient. I just need to, and like the conversation about if something's too much, it's too much. You can't just like create habits and make everything more efficient so you can constantly do more. Can you speak to that side of things?
Okay, so is the question, can you just kind of reiterate the question then? Is it about
Right.
efficiency?
So I feel like for myself, for instance,
Yep.
when I think about habits, I'm often wanting to be better at them or like building in new systems or new habits to create like more efficiency in my life, for instance,
Mm.
so I can do more. And then if you get the habit and like the efficiency, then maybe you can do even more. Like I'm constantly just like,
Okay.
how
Yes,
do
your
you,
to-do list never stops. Yes. Okay.
yeah,
Great. So I will ask you the question. Do you mind? Can you do
yeah,
some like
sure, do it.
code? Why do you think that you want to be more efficient?
I think it might not be right, but usually it's so that I can do more.
Okay, and why do you feel like you need to do more?
Because there's never enough time in the day for me to
Right.
do all the things I think I should be doing.
Yeah, and you just said it. It's I think I should be doing. So I mean, we could go down this path and like you're like a total coaching session, but it's recognizing that for you, for me, and this is me too, so don't worry. And for so many, most of my clients are executive women or like high achieving, hyper achieving women over 40. Many are
Right.
moms. So like welcome to the club. Here we all are. Come on in. Um, we have been told, so our core belief is that achievement is love.
Mm.
Achievement is success. When I achieve, I am enough.
Hmm.
So that's where we have to do a little bit of the deeper work to just so the mindset work actually has to come before the habits. And
Right.
it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard thing to sell, I'll tell you that much. I'd be way richer if I was a weight loss coach because everybody's like, yes, that's what I need. And it's like, no,
Right.
actually, what you need is to figure out why you don't feel like you're enough. And they're like, oh God, that seems too hard. Never mind.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
it's
that's
true.
where the transformation comes. So if you actually step back and if you do the exercise and you say, what is it ultimately? So I'll ask you this question. At the end of the day, if you could choose 2 to 3 words of how you could feel every day, if you woke up feeling this way, what would they be?
Energetic,
Yeah.
calm,
Calm.
mm, um, happy.
Yeah. Do you feel like running through the to-do list is making you feel calm?
No, although maybe because I have ADHD, I like the dopamine
Yeah.
of like
100%.
checking the thing off
Okay.
the list.
It's so interesting you just said that. I was saying to one of my clients, I don't know what's going on, but I feel like I don't feel because I know over half of my clients are women with ADHD. And it's a lot of late diagnosis, right? So it
Hmm.
is so I would let's think of it this way. Actually, this is great because I think that your audience might resonate with this. If you are someone who is just constantly like to do, and every mother I know is like, we don't forget we just talked about your brain likes to stay in the same pattern.
Right.
The way that you and I were before kids is not the way we are now. We didn't have to
Mm.
have all the mental load and the juggling and the calendars and which kid is texting from school and which kid's calling because they forgot their water and like, oh my God. It's like all of a sudden we have amped our treadmill in our
Hmm.
brain.
Hmm.
It is very difficult to slow the treadmill when you're already on the treadmill.
Right.
So when I'm working with women like us who are high achievers, they're on the treadmill. Don't forget this is just the habit structure that we're in. And
Right.
we can actually start to break that habit. And it does not mean that we're not going to be great at our job and we're not going to be great moms and then we're going to all of a sudden lose productivity. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I see it all the time. It's starting to look and say, is this true? Is this realistic? I always say stress and anxiety lives between our expectations and reality. So is the expectation on myself actually like
Mm,
true? Do I
reasonable.
need to
Yeah.
be doing this? Does this need to be done? And at what cost? So if the
Right.
ultimate goal is to be calm, happy, right? Energized, and we start looking at our mindset, at our thought patterns, and at our behaviors, and we can map them a little bit and say, Isn't that interesting? When I shut off and actually take the quiet walk for 10 minutes at lunch instead of call the doctor and book this and do whatever and
Mm,
just stay on that treadmill. Oh man, do I ever feel more energetic, more calm and happier? And then the rest of my day
yes.
was twice as productive. But you don't, even though at the beginning I said knowledge doesn't, like, just because you know better doesn't mean you do
Right.
better. But
Yes.
I will actually revert a little bit of that and say you can't change what you don't recognize.
Mm,
So we do
yeah.
have to slow down a little bit. And I think
Mhm.
that's why my whole process, which you can do in the workbook, is once you're really clear on how you want to feel and you I've got it on my mirror, I've got it on my computer, I've got like a constantly reminding, because don't forget our brain's going to always revert back.
Right.
So it takes, people think it takes 21 days to change a habit. That's not really true. There's no actual time, but it is the first few weeks that are really, really tough. That's why
Mm,
having a coach or an accountability partner is really helpful, because your brain's going to be like absolutely not digging its heels for a couple weeks. The same goes for if you're trying to slow down. So this could be like a
mm,
stop habit, not a start habit. If you're trying to slow down,
right.
if you're trying to, don't forget that is a habit. Your mindset, negativity is a habit.
Right.
Um,
I have
Overworking,
never thought of that, Katie, before. Like
yes,
the stop habit piece.
yeah.
Oh.
And don't forget, like I do a lot of talks with high achieving women, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the things I say is you cannot add to your plate until you take something off.
Mm,
So here
mm-hmm.
we are, hyperachievers, being like, I know what's going to fix all my problems. I'm just going to add a couple workouts. It's like,
Right,
no.
right.
If we do, I love this exercise we do where we say, how much of the day, like, where is my time spent in the day? I get
Yes.
people a pie chart. And then you say, okay, like maybe it's, 50% is work and 30% is kids and like 20% is social and whatever, passion projects, creativity, whatever. And then you actually draw a same circle and you say, what's taking up my energy?
Mm-hmm.
Most people realize that it is not the same. And we can way more easily change what's sucking our energy than we can what's sucking our time, especially as moms. And
Mm,
so the barriers that people think are the barriers to healthy habits, which is time, energy, motivation, stress, money, that's not the barrier. The barrier is shame, overthinking, all
mm,
an approach, unrealistic expectations, outcome-based goals that are built in shame.
right.
Unrealistic expectations is a big one. And these are all mental. So the really cool thing is we can very quickly change your mindset around your goals. And it's so much easier to do that than actually change your habits. Because all of a sudden you change your goals and your mindset around your goals, and they're value tagged and they're in line and you feel good about them. And your brain's like, ooh, maybe there is some benefit to this, not just
Right.
losing weight because I think it's going to make me happy. Then you stick to it. It's incredible to
Right.
watch.
It's fascinating because a lot of what I'm hearing you say is like peeling back the onion, getting down to the base layer, getting down to the motivation, the truth, the actual goal, and how like that kind of unlocks everything. I'm so excited to share that NextGen 2026 has officially launched. My company, Beacon North Strategies, founded and co-hosted this event with NHM Connect. NextGen has become a leading national professional development event for Canadian public affairs and government relations practitioners and those aspiring to join the sector. It's all about building skills, making connections, and preparing for what's next in our field. Early bird tickets are available now. Find all the details on the Beacon North website, and we'll include the link in the show notes. I want to talk for a second related to kind of the overload piece, but comparison culture and a specific
Mm,
example. So, what I hear a lot from friends and a lot of us that are high achievers is you hear all these things about like morning routines. And
mhm.
people have this perspective that like the perfect morning routine is going to change their life, right? And they're going to add all these things, which often requires like getting up earlier and adding a bunch more things to your plate. So let's say you have a woman who's stressing out, like, I'm not doing the perfect morning routine thing that that person said. What would you say to them?
Right away, I would say perfectionism is like the root of all progress. As an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, I know that I've had to work through that and for habits. Um, the problem I see the most is people come in with a preconceived notion because social media has told them what to do. I need to eat this, but not eat this. I need to get up at this time and get sunlight in my eyeballs. And like, oh my God, it is so overwhelming what the internet is telling you what to do. You already know
Mhm.
what to do.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to us just sitting back, deciding how we want to feel, and actually taking the moment? Like I do as a one-time strategy call with people who don't necessarily want to do long-term coaching, and this is what we do. It's like it's not rocket science. We sit back and we say, wait a second, this is all noise. This is what works for someone else. How do I want to feel? Have I asked myself this question?
Hmm.
Are my current goals actually in line with how I want to feel? Or is it some societal BS standard that I've placed on myself to feel worse, which we already know is against all
Right.
the brain science? So when we ask ourselves that and then we start to map it out,
Hmm.
then we start to create the systems. This is what I do in my 3-month program, right? So first you got to get really peel it back and be clear on how you want to feel. Then you look at your actions and thought patterns that are either promoting that or pulling away from that. Then of course we can look at environment systems, right? Systems. So
Hmm.
if I know now that in order to feel more energetic, a minimum 10-minute of movement a day will really help me, it's still not going to make it easy. And maybe for me, as it is for me, because for me, I'm gonna have to do that before the kids get up because that's just the only way. Okay, for that person, maybe it works. The next
Right.
person might be like, I am a night owl, I am not a morning person. For me, what works, and I know, and I'm listening to my heart, and I know who I am, not what social media tells me to be. I know for me, if I have young kids, putting them to bed and then, talking to my partner and saying, I'm going to go listen to a podcast and do a quick 10-minute walk before bed. That's what works for me.
Hmm.
And then so that's like when I'm doing coaching, it's people think like, oh, are you giving me a fitness plan and a nutrition plan? No. I'm working
Hmm.
with you to figure out what your blocks are and how do you
Right.
set up your environment, which is why it's 3 months and not a month,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
you got to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And then all of a sudden you're building this marathon, not a race. Anything that you're building in your life, I always say you like don't ever put anything in your life that you can't stick to. It's why fad diets don't work. It's why, you can get a personal trainer, which I totally advocate. If that's something that you think that investing and showing up is going to help you, great. But be prepared for this to be part of your long-term lifestyle.
Hmm.
80% of people that went on The Biggest Loser gained back the weight and more. I think there's a documentary on it now because
Yeah.
it wasn't sustainable. We're
Right.
building a lifestyle here. We're building a lifestyle that's going to make you feel more energetic, calm, and peaceful. The really cool
Hmm.
thing about it is when you focus on that, I have seen so many clients that completely throw out the original goals they thought that they came with.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because when I bring it back to, okay, if you want to feel calm in the morning, for instance, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean checking off a big 10-part list, right? It might
Yeah.
be having a coffee and sitting still for 10 minutes and then starting your morning routine with your kids or like whatever
Yeah.
that looks like for you, right?
Yeah.
I also liked what you said a lot about creating that quiet and calmer space. It's a real challenge for me, but I know that some of my best ideas have come from being at the gym or literally having a bath. Um, and just having that break from work instead of just being like, no, no, I have work, I have work, I have work. And so I think that's so important. And also, I would say that when you listen to, some of these people we think are big thinkers or really successful, like Oprah and other big CEOs, a lot of them are building in time to read in their
Yeah.
day and also time to just think. And
Yes.
so if you're constantly on the rat race, which is what we're all doing, But that's really what success means. It's,
Mhm.
creating space for some of those things. And it's really hard, but that's something that I'm constantly working on. I wanted to ask you, I know something that you had mentioned to me previously as we were prepping for this is some of the pitfalls that we face. And we talked about some of them today, but is there any others that you'd like to add?
Yes. So it's all well and good for us to say, okay, here we go get the workbook, create new goals that are based in how you feel. And then, there's a couple things we talked about, right? So,
Hmm.
um, creating some tangible weekly goals that pass the giggle test, creating the systems, right? Which is don't just assume you're going to do it, schedule it in, tell a
Hmm.
friend. There's all these habit stacking. You just gave an example of habit stacking that I would love to give it. So if you want some calm and peaceful time to think, do a walk in nature, that's habit stack. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
you like to do your walk, at lunch. You really want to build in thinking time, take the earphones out and just do a quiet walk. That's stacking a habit on top. It's easy. So we can create all these systems and give people the things. Here's what I see the pitfalls. People don't plan for real life.
Mm.
And I'm going to even throw something out there that I'm really noticing with my clients. Women don't plan for their cycle. I have all my
Amen,
clients in their
Katie.
cycle
I
right now.
literally just got my period today.
Okay, right? So here we are. So especially us high achieving women,
Yeah.
guess what we're gonna do in my program right away? They're like, that's it, yeah, and they're gonna like nail it and they're gonna do it perfect. And this is my plan. And guess what happens? You get sick, your kid gets sick, you go on vacation, or you're in luteal phase, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
one of these things happens
Hmm.
and we haven't proactively planned for it. We have to
Hmm.
have a plan B. I was in the Ottawa Business Journal on this, I think last September. If you want to succeed, you need a plan B. Now, it's a slippery slope. Your brain likes pattern. So if you go from your plan A to zero, pretty quickly we can get out of the habit. So I
Yeah.
always say to everybody, what's your plan B? What's your minimum viable action? What's your MVA? So let's say your plan A is you want to do a yoga class a week and two 30-minute runs. I don't know, maybe that's just you.
Yeah.
What is your, James Clear talks about this, and I build this into my program, which is who do you need to become to maintain your health? You need
Mm.
to become the person that prioritizes your health, even when crap hits the
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
So what's your plan B? Maybe your plan B is, and I do this the week before my period every year. I could track it. I'm like, well, I don't feel like a weight training today. I'm going to do a 10-minute nature walk. Your
Mm.
brain doesn't really know the difference. Your brain doesn't really care that you did 45-minute weight training versus a 10-minute walk. You're staying in motion, you're staying in habit.
Right.
So this is where I really implore people just stay in quote unquote motion, but it
Right.
doesn't have to be perfect. Same with nutrition, 80-20, 80% healthy, 20%. But when you kind of looked at your life and said, this is not realistic all the time, now I'm going to do the best I can, which is maybe I'm traveling for work and all I can do is a walk at lunch or taking the stairs instead of the elevator or choosing more protein and less cookies at lunch. So, okay, like little things that are realistic. That's going to keep you in motion. That's going to keep you in the habit. And then as soon as you feel a little bit better, you can bounce back into your plan A. You've
Hmm.
got
And then not
to
bring the guilt of that, just bounce
not bring
back
the
in. Yeah.
guilt. Almost inevitably, I'd say half of my clients were doing more confidence and executive coaching. Half of them are like strict habit change. No, like without a doubt, every time almost in my 3-month program, we're rolling, and something happens, and I get the panic call, right? That's it. My progress is done. I screwed up this week. And then I'm like, great, perfect. I want this to happen because we got to figure out how you're going to manage
Yeah.
it because this
Practice getting
is
back
life.
on. Yeah.
This is real life. Like, if you are the person that prioritizes your health, you are flexible. And I saw this meme the other day or this thing about mental health. I thought was the best thing. The people that are the most mentally healthy are the most flexible. So it's like,
Hmm.
can you be flexible because you know in your heart, because you've created these goals for the right reasons, you've convinced your brain that it's for the right reasons, my mental health, my vibrancy, my energy. What is the best that I can do this week without burning myself out?
Hmm.
Great. Pat on the back. Awesome. Plan B week. Next week,
Yes.
can I plan A again?
Yeah.
That's
One of the things
that's
that
the biggest
I
thing.
have started to do is like set aside time on the weekend, especially. as a CEO, like my schedule is super full and sometimes it changes week to week, right? Like we don't always work 9 to 5 jobs, like you said with yours too. And I've started to look at the week and say, okay, based on what's going with my kids, whatever, work, when can I exercise? And like I might have my traditional times that work for me, but all of a sudden a kid's got an extra practice one morning. Okay, well, what does that mean? Do I not work out that day? Can I switch to the evening? And that's been really helpful in terms of like what you were talking about you have to like plan and schedule, right? And
Yeah.
so it will inevitably change. So what does that look like then for the week that you're going to have?
And can
Um,
you build it in? You just said the best thing.
yes.
If you follow me on Instagram, I'm often like walking around the field because I'm my son's football manager. And like
Oh,
everybody's sitting there for an hour. You got to drop your kids off an hour, okay?
yes. Yeah.
There is no reason why we can't just walk for like th so not only be malleable, get creative. If you're a
Right.
working mom,
Yeah.
get creative. Can you
Yes.
grab the other hockey mom and be like, "Okay, we just dropped the kids off. You want to do a quick walk together
Yeah.
and chat?"
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
creative.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Okay, so I want to ask you, and we've talked about it a little bit, and then maybe we can jump into the closing questions, but what are you seeing, or is your advice different if it's somebody who's neurodivergent? It doesn't necessarily have to be ADHD. In my case, it is, because of that executive dysfunction piece.
Yes. Like I said, so my husband's ADHD, my oldest son is ADHD, so I feel like I can speak from
You're like, I
and
am an expert.
yeah, well, I've also had two business coaches that have told me they think I am ADHD, and I'm like, maybe you're right.
A lot
Um,
of CEOs are.
yeah, like, I'm a creative thinker, I'm an idea person, I'm a speaker, like probably correct. Systems. So when I'm working with people with ADHD, systems are 10 times more important. I said
Mm,
at the beginning, your goals fall to the level of your systems. So for my folks with ADHD or any kind of neurodivergence, it is almost laughable. Like they're like, well, this is silly. I'm talking like it is in your calendar. Like you have an
mhm.
alarm set at night to go to bed. Like this is some of
Yeah. Oh,
my
yeah.
people with
I have an alarm set for bedtime.
it's like alarm set for bedtime. Maybe you need a second alarm set for bedtime. You have things physically in your calendar.
Hmm.
The the people with ADHD that I coach, we have to double down on systems and we have
Mm,
to double down on the reminders. You know how we talked about trigger reward?
yes.
They really need the reminder because the brain's going, "Boop, boop, 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 boop." Oh, I
Hmm.
forgot, right? I forgot. So we have to look at what are the tools that we can use. Calendars are one, alarms
Hmm.
are one.
Hmm.
They do way better instead of getting the gym membership and then leaving it up to chance, actually signing up for the class that they have to, show up on time for with the
Yeah.
friend.
And meet a
Way
friend.
better.
Meet a friend.
Your
That's the,
friend, make it
don't
more
let your
fun.
friends
So
down.
one of my tips, I was just redoing my keynote yesterday, so I remember this picture I put in. Also make it fun.
Mm,
Fun because your brain like will again, everything we're trying to do, don't forget we're trying to convince our brain that it's safe and okay to do this. So
right.
make it fun. So if you want to get more active and you hate running, well, don't friggin' run. If you love dancing, then sign up for a dance class. Make it
Yes.
fun. And I
Right.
find my folks with ADHD, they're more creative too,
Mm,
for the most part. So sometimes we can build in and be like, okay, how can you pull in your creativity,
right.
your like, how can you make it actually more enjoyable? Because you're more
Right.
likely to do it. People with ADHD like hyper focus on things they like, right? So
Right.
find
Right.
something you like and stick with that.
I love that. I'm smirking because I went for a walk with a friend on Sunday for like 7 kilometers and we walked to the Rito Center and went shopping.
Oh,
But
sure.
like,
Great.
talk about
Reward.
reward.
Yeah, great. And then you carried the bags
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
yeah.
like a weighted vest on the way home, right?
Oh
Perfect.
my gosh. Yeah, that's really helpful. It's very interesting for me. I've always struggled with the ADHD piece, and people will find different things that work, right? Whether it's therapy or finding the right tools. I recently started medication, and people will say, "What's the biggest difference?" I'm like, "Well, I basically, once I started, I've been able to do my skincare every single day. That's
Yeah.
the difference. So, like, whatever works for you when you find
Yeah.
the thing, it is like a game changer. And yeah, so you've given some really good tips for people through your coaching, which is great too. So thank you for sharing that. And we'll make sure to put Katie's information in the show notes, and I'll try and link to the document that you mentioned too. So if you are interested in following her on social media or getting that download or leading into some of her coaching, that people can have access there. As we end, I want to ask you, can you share a rule that you broke that turned out to be a great decision?
Oh my gosh, a rule that I broke that turned out to be a great decision. Oh, I am blanking on this one. A rule that I broke that turned out to be a great
Maybe,
decision.
oh, I can tell you one, that
Yeah.
you quit a government job.
Oh, okay, yeah. So a rule that I broke that turned out to be a great decision is the fact that I left a 17-year pension in the government, and everyone's telling me like, oh my God, you were like, I was a manager, like really good job, great staff. I actually loved what I was doing.
Good work-life balance,
Good
the
work-life
golden
balance,
handcuffs.
the golden handcuffs. And it's like the rule is in society, like get the secure job.
Right.
And I pushed through the fear. He's like, feel the fear and do it anyway. And
I love that's me too.
like, and if anyone can, and that's life, right? It's like you want
Mhm.
to succeed in life, feel the fear and do it anyway. You want to be more confident, feel the fear and do it anyway. You want to be a successful entrepreneur, feel the fear and do it anyway. And so
Yes.
I did it anyway, and I am so happy. I joked with my husband if I got hit by a bus next week, I'd have zero regrets. And he's like, well, don't do that, okay? I'm like, okay. But that would have been my biggest regret that I didn't follow my dream because I was stuck in the comfortable.
Hmm. Oh, that's amazing. Who's a woman who continually inspires you?
Oh my gosh, Mel Robbins, she's like my North Star. I want to be, anyone's like, what do you do? And if I have 1 second, I say I'm like a mini Mel Robbins. Like she, like I'm manifesting being on her podcast one day. I love her vibe. I love the way she's so real. I love what she says. I love how she distills really scientific things in really, palatable ways and makes you think differently. And so she is like my North Star, my idol.
I love that. I will hope to manifest for you that as well. What's one book that has significantly impacted your perspective or your values?
I'm going to say something that might be very different than what you'd expect. It's a book by Dr. Shefali, the only parenting book I ever read through, and it's called The Conscious Parent.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because as women, and especially high achieving women, we're very good at beating ourselves up. So we can read
Yes.
all sleep training books and this book that tells you this and this book that tells you that. The Conscious Parent is a book about the fact that your kids are meant to trigger all your triggers, and the best thing you
Mhm.
can do for kids is heal yourself and let
Wow.
go of control and understand that they're watching you. They're going to do as you do, not as you say. And that completely changed my life. It just removed so much shame. It gave
Mm-hmm.
me so much permission to screw up. It just completely like released the pressure. I mean, that and a lot of therapy, let's be real here, but it released a lot of the pressure around trying to be this perfect parent,
Mm.
like impossible, and it translated into life. Like we can't be perfect. We are
Hmm.
wasting our life trying to be perfect. Like we're gonna wake up one day and be like, what heck was I doing? Because in 10
Right.
years, you're gonna look back now and be like, man, I wish I knew how beautiful I was. Man, I wish I knew how
That's so
great I was.
true. Like when you look back at yourself as a teenager, you're like,
Yeah,
you thought you were so fat. Now you're
I
like, I'd
know.
give anything to be that fat again.
Right. Exactly. And then in 10 years, when you're 80, you look back to yourself now in your 40s, you're gonna be like, girl, wish you knew
Yes.
how much you had going on, right? It's all energy.
Yes, it's
What
true.
energy.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic book. I'm sure many of us will be checking it out for sure. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time. There was
For
so much
asking.
to unpack. This will definitely be an episode that I'll want to go back and re-listen again myself and pull out so many pieces. I definitely had aha moments and many actually. Like so good, Katie. So thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on Women Don't Do That. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating or review. Connect with us on Instagram at Women Don't Do That and visit our website www.womendon'tdothat.com for more details. Join our Patreon to support our work. Find all of the links in the show notes. Remember, you have the power to transform your what ifs into let's go. Together, let's redefine your possible. Until next time. The opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Women Don't Do That, Stephanie Mitten, or affiliated brands.